the left-hand side of that, and then I take it right. And that's usually just at summit number 1. So if you were climbing the whole mountain, it's so big, it's actually got 2 Munros. So each summit, the one at the back and the one at the front, they're both Munros. So you get 2 ticks in your book or your app.
So for this one, would it be like, is there a path to take where you could just kind of just hike it a little bit, or do you have to actively climb it?
I wouldn't recommend it. A lot of people do it, but I remember talking to a couple, they were on their honeymoon and they were doing the walking part, and they had to turn back. And it's what we call scree. It's like loose rock, like this stuff here. And they said it was like walking up and down an escalator. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, so they never managed it. I've come down it and it's horrible. So I prefer, I call it a climb, but technically it's not a climb, it's a scramble. So there's kind of 3 grades of hill walkers, if you like. There's people called rambling. Those guys on the right, they'd be rambling, they're just walking at ground level. Me, I'm the step up, I'm a scrambler. So that means I use my fingertips as well as boots. But actual climbers, they've got all the harnesses and crash helmets, ropes. And that just takes all the fun away from being ropes, dogs. Now see these cars here, if we'd been here a couple of days ago, for the weekend, you wouldn't have got through this road for vehicles. There's people climbing the Buccal. And that's the hiking way, that's the way. If you're doing it the proper way, you come down there. And you see the White Cottage?
Yep.
That's a women's climbing club owns that. And it's beautiful inside. They've got carpets and curtains and furniture. It's amazing. Because it's women only. I've tried to get in wearing the kill, but they sort of remind us guys. You don't want to see the men's one, it's just a ditch. With some empty beer cans and that's it. Now, so that's the Buccal Etter more meaning great or big. The one up ahead on the right is the Buccal Etter Bake, which is the wee Buccal, the baby Buccal. It's still 2 Munros, it's still a big mountain, it's just slightly shorter than the big one. Look at that's beautiful with the cloud in between there.
It's wild.
That's what I did geography in school, and I remember doing this thinking I'll never need to know this stuff. But it's come in handy. That is a U-shaped valley, and that's evidence that there used to be a glacier would come right through there. Because we had 4 ice ages in the northern hemisphere, and at one point that would just be one mountain, and then the glacier would carve out that valley, making that U-shaped. And right ahead of us is Glencoe. I always say we go into Glencoe, we go inside it. I don't say we go through it, we go into it. Because the mountain's getting closer and closer and closer. So it feels like you're entering into some cathedral of rock or ice. No ice today. And just ahead of us, with the cloud just drifting between them, that's the 3 Sisters of Glencoe. And this is MacDonald country. This is where the clan MacDonald used to live. And there's a thing called the Hidden Valley, or the Lost Valley. It sits between, way up in the mountains, it's between the first sister and the second sister. And that's where the MacDonalds used to store their cattle to keep it safe. Because centuries ago, no one carried cash around. Your cattle was your cash, that was your currency. So your coos were very valuable, so you'd have them hidden. So what the MacDonalds did was they would steer their cattle up into the mountains, up and over and into this hidden valley. And it's 3 sides of almost vertical rock, but the entrance of the valley is really, really narrow. And there's a couple of huge boulders in the entrance, so the boulders would act like a cork. So they'd steer the cattle round these boulders and leave them up there safe from cattle thieves. So it's called the Hidden Valley or the Lost Valley because you can only see it when you're up there standing in it. And it's a strange place. The floor of the valley is completely flat. It's like a street. It's totally flat. And it's covered in millions of little pebbles. And even if there's a storm, you go up there, it's always peaceful and calm and quiet because it's surrounded by the sheer rock walls on three sides. Now I was going to say there's a couple of waterfalls up here, but because it hasn't rained for quite a few days, which is unusual in Scotland, it might have dried up. I don't think there'll be much there. Yeah, just on the left there. Yeah, there's a trickle. A trickle. So this is where they had to dynamite the road through the mountains. So welcome to my favourite place. Welcome to Glencoe. Isn't that awesome? Now you see that big long mountain, that wall of mountain ahead of us? That's one big ridge walk. It's called the Annich And again, it's two Munros. There's one at this side, there's one away in the distance that you can't see from here. And that rocky ridge is so narrow, it's as narrow as the aisle in this bus. And it's 3,500 feet sheer drop either side. And that was the first mountain I ever climbed. I didn't know you were meant to start off in the easy ones. I started off, and a lot of people leave this towards the end of the Munro career. But it was the first one I've done. Done it 4 times now. It's described as the finest ridge walk on the British mainland. And there's a thing called the Crazy Pinnacles, which is just big columns of rock that you have to climb up and over, 3 of them. They're just on the left, you see the trees there, there's a waterfall goes up through the trees. Up and over that's the Lost Valley, that's the hidden valley there, where the McDonald's stored their coos. And that's the Three Sisters of Glencoe. So we're going to pull over right now. So you see how busy it is, how popular it is? I'm guessing at the weekend we couldn't have even stopped here. This is Scotland's favourite glen. It's the most popular and it gets crazy busy. So this is quiet. So here's the tip. If you go to the front of all those vehicles, you won't get them in your view. So just walk to the front of the cars on the left there.